So here we are today with the Pooka.
Yes,
You might be asking, why in the hell are you playing Conker's Bad Fur Day music for this?
because they are
All the
shapeshifters.
because they're furries.
They are, very much so.
Yeah. Now, I fucking hate it when people try to turn Will of the Apocalypse into a furry game. I swear that's what Will of them was doing the entire time of their LARP. Because with how you described the Children of Gaia and how you described the Glasswalkers, it sounds like you just didn't understand what werewolf was. I'm being mean, I don't care. And you know what has a wiki for article?
Wait, what?
Well, if the Apocalypse is a wiki for article.
That's kind of funny.
You want me to send it to you?
I don't know if I want to read it, in all honesty.
There's nothing bad on this. There's nothing bad on this site.
Okay.
Here we go. Here we go. The history pages. There you go.
Let me see there. There it is. Pages. All right. I'm going to read this. I'm not going to put it on the screen. I'm going to just read it. Role-playing game of White Wolf, 92 to 2004. Role-playing game could be called the Lifestylers RPG.
The Lifestylers.
Striking a balance between one's human and animal side, struggling to find friends and live despite a heavy secret. What the fuck is this article? This is awful. Good Lord. I'm not reading.
Today's a giggle episode, too.
Yeah, no kidding.
Damn, I can't stop. What's that stuff? I can't stop.
He is the Pooka, and he is playing all of the jokes.
You introduced the Pooka and can't stop.
Okay. So, today we are talking about the Pooka. Now, what are the Pooka? Pooka are fairy shapeshifters, and they like to change, and they're sort of like the Ragabash of the Changeling. They love playing jokes. They love questioning authority. They love throwing people for a loop. It's one of their favorite things to do.
And the reason why I brought up that furry analogy is because this is every animal that isn't a feral breed, including the feral breeds. And with the way a Changing the Dreaming game plays out, stop taking Will of the Apocalypse and trying to turn it into like a furry sex game. That's not the game you're looking for. This is what you're looking for, Changing the Dreaming. That's what you want to do that with.
Yeah. So if you want to get sexy, this is the game to be sexy with.
Let's think about this shit.
Anyway.
Okay. I'll bring yourself back down there. Right? We got episode, dude.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, all of these books begin with a creation myth. Now, story time. You ready for a story?
Yes, I have time for a story.
All right, I've been thinking about doing a Slua ASMR bit for the channel, and I finally figured out what to do it for. It's the unedited, unabridged versions of these stories. So, the short version is what we'll be telling.
Yes.
The Pooka parable. Once upon a time, in ancient times, there was Lion, who was a very sexy man, and he had all these sexy lioness wives. He was lounging at home one day when he heard a bunch of mumbling outside his door. There was a bunch of animals that were trying to get his attention. They said, those who are forever have offered a prize or a contest to all the kith. They have all been given this challenge, and we want you to participate in it. Lion keeps trying to talk himself out of the challenge, but eventually he's guilted into doing it by Butterfly, who starts crying in order to get him to participate in the game. So Lion says, I'll do it if you make me king of the Pooka after I do it. And all the Pooka say, yeah, we'll do it. It's actually Wolf who is the first one to say okay. So does that have anything to do with the werewolves and the Simba? I don't know. Let's keep going. So the day of the contest happens. All the animals arrive. Lion is dressed in robes. He's throwing of flowers. And all the other kits arrive with their representatives. And Unicorn, the servant of those who are eternal, gives the condition for the challenge. You are to go and find the Heart of Wonder, rescue it from its prison, which is filled with a toxic mist that threatens to destroy it. And all of them set out. A lion gets distraught. He says, well, how the hell am I supposed to do this? I don't know. I don't even know what I'm looking for or where to start looking. Mouse walks up to him and says, I will try my best to be your companion. I'll try my best to guide you. And if we fail, we'll still have an adventure at the end of it. As Lion continues, he walks over, finds some deer that are next to a dried up creek. And the deer say, we have no water. Please help us. And Lion says, I'll promise to help you in exchange for you telling me what the Heart of Wonder is. They tell the lion what the Heart of Wonder is. It's actually a ruby that is beautifully cut on all different sides. Whether or not it's shaped in the shape of a heart, it doesn't say. We'll just assume it is. Lion goes off until he sees a fish with a fish hook stuck in it, saying, please help me, I'm sure to die. Lion pulls the hook out, fish is saved, and journey continues. They come across what looks like a forest that's filled with a bunch of destroyed trees and missing food. The animals of it say, please help us with this problem. Lion says, I'll help you in exchange for telling me where the heart is. They say, we don't know where it is, but we know it's surrounded by a toxic mist. If you're to touch the mist, it will kill you upon doing so. So don't touch it. As they continue, they come across a mole that's stuck in a farmer's trap, saying, hey, please help me, please help me. Lion helps the mole escapes. As they continue, they come across a lake that's filled with poison water. Frog says, please help me clean my lake. Lion says, I'll help you do it if you tell me where the heart is. The frog gives the location of it. It's beyond that sea. You just got to cross that sea. Lion goes to the sea, only to realize that, oh no, I don't have a boat. And he starts despairing to Mouse until, behold, a whale appears. And it turns out that whale is the same fish that had the fish hook in it from the previous part of that story. The whale leads them across, and they reach this cave where it takes years to get to the bottom of this cave. I mean, after all, it's the Heart of Wonder. You have to go all the way to the heart of the planet to find it. And they finally get to it. It's surrounded by this mist that may or may not have something to do with the worm. I don't know. And Mouse says, I'll stray underneath the mist and grab it for you, only for Mouse to immediately die after doing that. And Lion despairs, but behold, the mole from before followed them all the way down, said, I will dig underneath the ground, get the heart for you, and then give it back to you. Lion says, awesome. He's a little bit too upset about Mouse at the moment, triumphant about getting the heart. And where he gets the heart, a woman appears behind him with a round belly, massive breasts, childbearing hips, holding a child in her arms, with skin made out of bark, eyes made out of stars, hair made of leaves. Is this Gaia? Maybe. It might be her. Maybe. It could be Danu, but it might be Gaia. Gaia says, I will ask you will ask me 3 questions. I will answer them. Lion says, how do I solve the lake problem? Gaia gives the answer. How do I solve the tree problem? Gaia gives the answer. How do I solve the river problem? Gaia gives the answer. And carrying Mouse's body back with him the entire way, Lion goes back and solves all the problems that all the animals had. And eventually, he returns back to Unicorn at the same time all the other kith do. Unicorn says, show me the heart. And everyone pulls out a heart. Wait, what the hell is this? Is there a fake heart? As it turns out, no! There are multiple Hearts of Wonder. They all need to be saved at the same time. The real test was, what did you do along the way of your adventure to get the heart? And then everyone gives their story. As it turns out, Lion had the most virtuous one. So, she who is forever appears before Lion and steps in front of him, gives Mouse a little kiss, bringing Mouse back to life. And then I will just read this part verbatim. Okay, she goes and gives Lion a kiss and says, with a sigh as sweet as honey, she who is forever then bends Lion's other cheek to kiss. I place upon you and your kith the most solemn gift, because you have the purity of heart to carry it as no other could. The name of the wonder and awe, you and your kith shall be known as champions of questing, uncertainty, and the unknown. You will fight the coming battle by breaking down the icy, inflexible beliefs that will threaten the world. This burden you shall carry through the dark days to come, with the knowledge that you will do so for a goodly cause. With that, she has given the Pooka a blessing. They don't know it yet, but they're going to solve this massive issue that's going to threaten the entire world, and it will be the Pooka who solve it. And from that day forward, anytime a Pooka opened their mouth to tell you a story, it was known as lion.
And so the giggles return. Yes, the Pooka are consummate liars. They lie about everything just because it's fun. When
The thing is,
what's up?
that's not a curse. That's culture with the Pooka.
That's just what they do. Like, quite literally, it says multiple times in the book, the more complex of a task you give a Pooka, the more leeway they're going to give you with it. The more complicated it is, the more they're going to try and mess around with it.
They're me with my hardware store job.
Basically, yes.
If I don't work there anymore, I quit and become I'm going to keep the company out of my mouth for the sake of anonymity.
Yes. But anyway, yes, so the Pooka like lying a lot. They like pranks, they like jokes.
Now, a thing as to why that lying started. Well, I'll tell you the story. You are familiar with the road to El Dorado, yes?
Yes.
There was an ancient land known as Egypt. In the Neolithic period, a bunch of humans began to settle down and start domesticating animals. And in order to explain creation myths, they would assign animals or animal people to be different gods to explain why the world is the way it is. In doing so, because Fae are created from human dreams, that created the Pooka in doing so. So behold, the Egyptians are the reason why we have Pooka today.
Yes. Especially in my notes would
So they did make everything.
yeah. It says Horus was a falcon Pooka. I mean,
Yes. Now, this is not the same Horus as Shu Horus. This is not the same Horus as Haru. This is the first Horus.
yes.
Of course, was a falcon man who lived in Egypt and said, I'm going to pull the world's biggest hustle. I'm going to get everyone to think I'm a god. So he did.
Yep.
And he became good friends with Osiris, right?
Yes, he served as his personal advisor to Osiris. He introduced the concept of Pooka working alongside humans in their dreams in order to teach them respect for all creatures of the world. It's also
They've been wondering why has Kyle joined in with the story with this one. Well, it's because
I did my goddamn homework. That's why.
I was going to say, look at your profile picture, and guess why?
Some of you may remember that I was a bit long-winded about the Pooka when when we did the introduction to Changeling.
This is your favorite Kith, and the reason we're talking about these guys is because they are directly at end with werewolf.
Yes.
Well, so is every Changeling, because the real enemy is the Weaver. They just don't know it's the Weaver.
Yep. But any shot they get to fight something, they will team up with the werewolves and go, all right, let's save the goddamn world.
And of course, you had Horus, where Osiris looked and said, if I ever have a son, I'll name him after you. And sure enough, he did.
Yes.
With Haru. And around this time, you also had a few other gods appearing around Egypt around this time. I say gods with quotation marks, like, I don't know, Anubis?
Yes.
They're bullshitting about this one. Anubis is the leader of the underworld of Egypt. I think it's Ma'at in terms of Wraith the Oblivion, but hey, that's a Wraith connection right there. The Wraiths are directly talking with the Pooka. That's a pretty good ally to have. It's like having Karen as your ally in Wraith the Oblivion as a solid strength, because that's the guy who leads the legions and leads the soul trade. That's a very good name to have in your pocket.
Yes.
And they have another guy, Thoth. You thought he was a mage? Well, I thought he was a mage. I said he was a mage in episode 4 and 5. As it turns out, no, he's a Pooka who knew a lot about magic.
Yes. And Anubis, Horus, and Thoth would weigh the hearts of the deceased.
It was the ultimate hustle. They would appear in their most expensive clothes and do the jive, convince everybody that we're gods. Give us some money, give us some souls. And it was the excellent hustle. They got so rich off of doing that, man.
Yes.
So much money, so much sacrifices. So they had Apis, Hathor, and Sebit. And none of those are gods, so to speak. Those are changelings, changing breeds that decided that we're going to join in on the hustle with Horus and try to convince people that we're gods because Sobek is a Macaulay. There's no mistaking that. You read about anything involving ancient history with World of the Apocalypse, it confirms that Sobek was a Macaulay. And then we had Akhenaten, right?
Yes, and they tested the religion of the Egyptian people when he and Nefertiti rebelled against the Pooka and failed in doing so.
They'd said, we're going to introduce monotheism. It's going to be awesome. You're all going to love it. And all of Egypt said, no, we don't like this. But too bad you're going to do it anyway. You're going to do it for 17 years. And the minute Akhenaten dies, they'll throw away this monotheism shit and then go right back to worshiping the Pooka.
Yeah, worked for us so far. The failure of Akhenaten, am I saying that right?
Akhenaten.
Akhenaten. It showed Horus and the other Pooka that their work in Egypt was pretty much done. They had succeeded. They had created an animal cult that worshipped them as gods, and they figured, this shit's pretty cool. Maybe we should go to some other places and try and do the same thing there.
And then Set happened.
Yes.
And Set came in. They leave this portion out of the Pooka, but they'll fill in for the context from 2 other books. Set decided he was going to rise to power to fight the worm. And in fighting the worm, he instead became one of the worm's greatest assets and created an entire Egypt based around sin and sex and debauchery. And, of course, that stole power away from the Pooka because Set said, no other gods before me. Started going around killing the other Pooka gods or enslaving them. And, well, when the Salt Shredders and Isis said, we're going to go storm Set's palace and steal back the body of Heru and avenge the death of Osiris. Oh, by the way, Osiris is back. He's cut up into 17 different parts, but there he is. The Pooka said, absolutely, get us in this fight. We want a piece of this guy. But sadly, all the Pooka who volunteered died.
Yep. Set was a badass, but the only thing more badass than Set were the Silent Striders.
Who, of course, managed to reach Set, dealt a killing blow that put him into torpor, but because of the nature of high-level Serpentis, they could not fry him in the sun. They just dropped him off in a coffin. Then Set's curse went off, cursing the Salt Shredders and the Bastet, and well, somehow did not reach the Pooka. I mean, their nature of lying did not stem from Set, so they got away from Set's curse. But Pyrrhic victory, everything kind of fell apart in Egypt after that. And in case you're wondering why we talked about all this, it's because Horus and all the other Pooka spreading out from Egypt is what started the Pooka culture of lying. The invention of lying. Lying was invented by Horus. Congratulations.
Yes.
Pull up the movie The Invention of Lying.
The invention of lying. I didn't know that was a thing.
You never heard this movie?
I have not.
I got a new comedy for you to watch.
Oh, I see.
It's a world where everybody tells the truth, and then one guy realizes he can lie about stuff, and everybody thinks he's on the truth.
Pretty nuts.
And behold, the Pooka go to, well, everywhere in Europe. They start saying to the Scythians and the Visigoths and the Gauls, "Hey, I'm a god. Make effigies in my name." And the hustle spread everywhere except for the Celts, who knew what the Pooka were and identified them. And they're the ones who gave them the name, the Fianna, are the guys who named them. Pooka means changing fae. That's what that directly translates to.
And so
you can hustle everyone else, but you can't hustle the Fianna.
yeah, we're too smart for that, each and every one of us.
You're so smart, why'd you listen to the Sat Shredders and Sophings for summoning your...
Look, we're better at dealing with supernatural threats than with our own borders.
Next up, we have Australia, right? With the Eternal Dream Time. You remember this, right?
The eternal what?
The Eternal Dream... Aboriginal myth.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. We're all connected by one massive dream that we all share. Therefore, the mages that are shamans are known as the dream speakers. That's where that originates from. So behold, we have a mage connection.
Yes.
And of course, these guys come in and say, hey, dream speakers, we're gods. And the dream speaker aboriginal say, all right. And start going along with that.
Yeah.
All right. And everything was fun and dandy until the sundering.
Yeah.
We remember what the sundering is, right?
Yes. So they say that when as they put it, sons of Adam and daughters of Eve learned to dream, they also began to learn how to disbelieve things. And the advent of static homes during the Iron Age created these concepts of unchangingness, and it made the mortal realm and the dreaming start to drift apart.
A weaver.
Yes.
The gauntlet. They're describing the formation of the gauntlet.
Yes.
And of course, that made it pretty hard to do the hustle because now we've got to rely on the glamour system. And we can only do our miracles if we get enough people to feel strong emotion around us, be it joy, love, fear, sorrow. And that's the only way we can charge our magic, which makes it very hard to do the hustle. And then early Christian belief started, and now everything's starting to go down the toilet because the Holy Roman Empire says, no, you can't be pagan anymore. You got to be Christian, and behold, the entire economy of the Pooka falls apart.
Yep, they had a good run, but then shit started to go sideways when good old JC showed up.
And then they said, well, fuck Europe, we're going to go to the Americas then. And behold, we can just do that. We can go into the dreaming and find like a giant bird and fly across the Atlantic Ocean all the way to Americas. And behold, they're in South America with the Mayans and the Aztecs and the Atena. This is very exciting, right?
Yes.
And this makes them the first kith to with the Nuninhi, Native American chief. And, well, who's the fun person they start talking to here? Quetzalcoatl.
Yes, it is rumored that he himself was actually a Pooka, but I don't believe that is true.
They also say, and where if that was an aspect of the worm, pick which side of the story you want to believe.
Yep.
Do they mention Huitzilopochtli? Do they mention Tezcatlipoca? No. I'm upset about that, but I didn't write the book.
You could though.
I told you it's my favorite member of Clan Bali, so I love him when I hear any sort of lore in regards to him.
Yep.
And then what caused the hustle to become even harder? I don't know, the Black Death.
Yeah. They called it the Shattering.
Yeah. After that horrible event where everyone begins to die, and you no longer have people dreaming because they're dead, so you got no Pooka forming. Yeah, and Sealy Court says we're going to drum up fear and glamour again by just going out and killing everyone, and the Order of Reason said no. And they cast a big damn spell, I suppose. I mean, it's not really explained how the Tenarchy pulled it off, but they essentially wrote Changeling's out of consensus. They said fairies do not exist, and therefore overnight, well, no, not really overnight, but in a wave, changelings begin to just drop dead. The only way a fairy soul could exist in the material plane was if it bonded to a human body. And behold, now the hustle is well and truly dead.
Yes. So they
now we begin the 400 years of decline.
It's a long, slow, sad fall.
Oh, it's the 16th century. You have the Industrial Revolution. You have colonization. You have years and years of suffering. You have like all these different human tragedies that happen and start filling human minds with banality. And now it's not fun to be around anymore. You have depression. You have anxiety. You have trauma. And now it's not just, you can't just have a fun time anymore. You gotta suffer.
Yeah.
The Tools of the Weaver.
Making things suck for centuries.
And they say funny enough, they say they bring up Christmas in this. They say, like careless children at Christmas, mortals tossed a wrapping paper whenever it landed back it up in their own backyards in order to build their own Lego log houses and wield their guns without considering who it might hurt. Nobody seems to care about the Pooka anymore.
Yep, and they sort of just kind of fucked off for a bit.
And thus you had the Dark Ages of Pooka, where from the 1850s to the 1960s, you had pretty much nothing but misery and suffering with the commoner. Every changeling who was not the she, because the she did the smart thing and retreated into the dreaming. And then what happened in the 1960s? Well, I'm glad you asked. The moon landing.
Yes.
Where thanks to the belief that humans could reach the moon, and we discovered a whole new form of science that bordered on magic, along with the spread of conspiracy theories, we now have a certain sudden surge of glamour, and the she come back. Lovely, right?
Yes.
And they also mentioned like the Vietnam War in this section too.
Yeah, I noticed that. It was Vietnam War, environmentalism, civil rights.
A lot of crazy things started happening where, thanks to all of the hippies, we can partially thank the children of Gaia for this.
Smoking weed, they did.
And the resurgence begins again. Got glamour, but it's not nearly as good as it used to be. It's more like a relief period where you're no longer suffering, you're okay, but you know things are about to get worse.
Yes, but now they have something to hold on to.
Now they're back, and do they still lie? Yes. Do they still try to pull the god staff? Not really. Well, hold on, we're forgetting something. The Accordance War.
Yes, massive event in Changeling history.
Where humans hunted and killed Pooka, she hunted and killed Pooka. It seems like this massive war is happening, and were these guys supposed to be the heroes in the event the worst possible thing happens? Well, I guess something worse than the Accordance War is around the corner, because the Pooka have spent the entire time getting their ass beat.
Yeah, they did. I mean, the book doesn't say that. It's like Pooka. It says that Pooka were instrumental in the defeat of the she, but that is not true in the slightest.
Yeah, I don't believe that at all. You read about the war from the she's perspective.
Yeah, and the she don't lie nearly as much as the Pooka.
Also, the she are incredibly overpowered. Like, good God. Like, if, you remember in our life, like, we have Tairina Convictus?
Yes.
She's strong enough to take on every member of the pack by herself, including Freya Sanders.
Fuck.
Because the she mechanically are that overpowered. And
we need her to help us fuck up Malkath.
It's because you're finding her in the dreaming. In the material plane, still really strong, but it more or less brings her down to the same level of power as Freya Sanders in that case.
That's still a lot.
For those of you who don't know, Freya Sanders is Sahajiya, a time wizard. And after the Accordance War ends in the 90s, we have peace. Yeah, not really. It's kind of like this, kind of tense. I mean, the she did kill a shitload of us, and we still remember the Night of Iron Knives. But the fighting stopped, and new High King David has taken the reins, and things could get better. I mean, we hope. I mean, things aren't looking too good, but things aren't looking too bad either.
Yep.
And now here we are.
Today.
I have a few pages I'm going to send you.
Okay.
So Ryan was supposed to be here, but he's not today.
Yep, bro is tired, and honestly, I understand. I'm myself.
I don't know what he does on Sundays.
I don't know. A lot of people don't do much on Sundays.
Should we spend time talking about the burrows, or should we move on to the types of changeling?
Probably the types of changeling.
Yeah, let's get the burrows. I mean, it's your game, it's your story. You decide where the places of power are supposed to be. I mean, I did it when I was reading Rage Across New York. No, New York by Night. I told you how fucking stupid that book is. And
I remember you said there's just way too much going on in it.
It's because I'll get more into detail about when we do our Rage Across New York episode. It's funny that Just Said Sheely wrote the everything in regards to the Giovanni. That there's not a single Giovanni place of power in New York. Bruh, did you not research this and find out that no, the mafia controlled New York back in the day? If you wanted,
He was still around, I think.
yeah, if you had any union that had ties with the mafia, okay, I digress. Here's the pages for you.
Okay, I assume you want me to do this then.
We have types of puka, right? We have the common, uncommon, exotic, and insect. Let me do the insect.
Yes, John loves insects. I don't know why. He just loves
The bugman.
Yes. So let's see here. So Pooka sort of try to avoid their classifications as much as they can because they try to be as diverse as humanly possible. It's more fun to mess with people when they catch them off guard. To start, we have the common household Pooka. So, sweet, cuddly, fuzzy, funny, silly ne'er-do-wells.
Cats, dogs, ice, rats.
All the small, adorable little things that they can do funny. They can make funny things happen. There's a lot of stereotypes revolving around Pooka about kids getting mauled by the neighbor's dog, mailman who had a squirrel jump on him, things like that. However, during the Mythic Age or earlier times, they were a lot scarier. They were more so like mythical beings in that point in time. But the first Pooka that emerged after the resurgence were a lot of this small fuzzy variety, the little playful ones that regularly annoy every other kid. They have a hard time staying away from people. And, they didn't consider the dangers of returning, but they were back regardless.
Their types of common kith involve arrows, crows, pigeons, ducks, robins, turkeys, chickens, seagulls, canaries, moles, shrews, hedgehogs, groundhogs, badgers, pig, sheep, goat, cow, horse, catfish, peach. It says perch. Goldfish, lionfish, codfish, bass, salmon, tuna, bluegill, tetra, anchovy, Persian cat, Siamese cat, Cornish rex cat, calico white-hair cat, tabby cat, American curl cat, British short-hair cat, mace cat, Japanese bobtail cat, Egyptian male cat, Sphinx cat, Balinese blue point cat, Turkish Angora, Dachshund, Mutt, Boxer, Beagle, Terrier, Chihuahua, German Shepherd, Rottweiler, Labrador, Retriever, Doberman, Pinscher, Egyptian Greyhound, Pekingese, Yorkshire Terrier, Pug, Foxhound, Cocker Spaniel, Collie, Bloodhound, Old English Sheepdog, Mouse, Rat, Squirrel, Chipmunk, Skunk, Raccoon, Hamster, Gerbil, Cray, Fish, crab, lobster, and king crab.
E-I-E-I-O.
Yeah, that's all. That's how many animals old MacDonald had. You see, I lost his mind from the care for all these animals.
Yes. So yeah, basically they were just sent in. Some people say they were sent in as scouts. Some people say that they were intertwined in some complex, malevolent plot. Others say that they were deceiving other changeling with a false sense of security for a Pooka overthrow, but they won't confirm nor deny. Most changelings fail to realize that there is more to the Pooka than apparent at first, but most of that knowledge has been lost in the mists and forgotten even by the Pooka themselves. But yes, there's a lot of them. That's why they're the common household Pooka.
No.
Moving on
So
from
now we
that,
have the uncommon.
yes, we have uncommon Pooka. They're more so the forest animals. They have a relatively large population, but they're more of the unassertive sorts of animals like beavers, skunks, squirrels, deer, chipmunks. They sit low on the food chain. They're usually more prey, herbivores, or insectivores. However, certain more dangerous species belong there as well, like bears, moose, wolves, and wild dogs, and mountain lions. And we've got. Do you want to do another wacko's rating of uncommon Pooka?
Penguin, peacock, cardinal, blue jay, spotted furry wren, pelican, kingfisher, warbler, pantherfish, blue tang, filefish, sea bass, angelfish, rock beauty, Spanish hogfish, lookdown, moonfish, short big eye, yellow belly hamlet, broad cloudfish, rainbow parrotfish, green sugarfish, rubber king tarpon, pufferfish, African pompano, red hind, piranha, mudskipper, moose, deer, mountain lion, bear, muskox, moise, I think I'm saying that right, ibex, native tortoise, lizard, toad, common frog, salamander, newt, mud puppy, iguana, chimpanzee, Brindleurus, I'm totally sure what that is. Koala, fox, otter, beaver, hedgehog, porcupine, small monkey, tapir, lemming, vole, meerkat, muskrat, armadillo, bat, copperhead, weller, bull, garden, and grass snake.
You gotta, maybe I should do it and see if I can actually like sing it like Wacko does. I probably can't, but for the exotic puka, I could try. So, some very odd puka began to surface in recent times. Many countries in the world have their own myths regarding the roles of animals in the animal kingdom. But not all puka come from America or Europe. Some scholars have documented puka with affinities that range from camels to jaguars, cobras to zebras, and yaks to penguins. They're very rare, but they do exist. Typically, the exotic puka tend to be more dangerous than those with citified affinities. The wild is a bit more free in their system, and cities don't fit them very well, though some have learned to adapt.
The wild?
Yes, not wild with an with a Y, wild with an I.
I don't believe it. I think it is a little wild with a Y.
I mean, given this is the puka, that makes a lot of sense. The wild likes to change things around for no reason. But anyway, so yes, basically they tend to keep to themselves because they are in extreme danger when they shift to an animal affinity. They're much more scary animals like crocodiles or lions. But yeah, so good to be very careful around them. Many find relief. Many of them, can't be around people for long, so they take regular trips to the countryside for weekends of animalistic relaxation. Those puka whose animals risk extinction walk in a very fine line, because once an animal disappears from the world, puka related to it gradually disappear as well, because people forget they existed. Some puka do have animals that are already extinct, but they fear the next time, they won't reincarnate and will disappear as well. Whenever the planet loses a species, the puka will always mourn their loss. No one knows if they can reincarnate as a common type of puka or if the souls will be lost forever. For some of the exotic, I could try to. Do you want me to try to do the Wacko Warner thing? Golden eagle, Azur's macaw, great Argus pheasant, greenback, Carolyn, Indian condor, harlequin duck, green woodpecker, wandering albatross, sparrowhawk, ostrich, vulture, toucan, parrot, falcon hammer, head shark, bonnet head shark, Atlantic sturgeon, electric eel, barracuda, lemon shark, swordfish, giraffe, elephant, zebra, opgani, kangaroo, humpback whale, dolphin, manatee, sea lion, gorilla, orangutan, wolf, bighorn, sheep, camel, elk, polar bear, reindeer, caribou, cougar, jaguar, panther, mountain lion, lion, tiger, and leopard, chameleon, thorny devil, frilled lizard, gecko, resurreus monkey, wombat, warthog, flying squirrel, platypus, baboon, stinging bug, dick. What?
Yeah.
What the fuck's a
You pronounce it as xylophone.
Anteater, spotted cuscus, cobra, boa constrictor, asp, viper, and adders. They're a bit more dangerous, a lot more exotic.
Yay!
Yes. So, that was that. And then we have insect puka. Take it away, John.
My head spun around like an owl after I saw this, because I told you that the wild made something special that the weaver destroyed. This is the closest thing we'll ever get to having the were insects come back. Remember the were insects? Nobody remembers the were insects because the fucking weaver killed them all, thanks to the Anunnaki. So, this means you're bringing back a little piece of the wild, where the wild still gets his way through the changelings. Now, as to whether or not they know about the wild, they don't know the weaver and the worm by name, but they recognize them when they see them. Maybe this is like a weird way, like a servant of the wild. When you come to think of it, but as well as the book says about them, they look alien. They're very strange. They're creepy. They're very foreign looking, as in like they give you like an uncanny valley vibe when you see them. And they can appear just think about, well, when you see them, you can clearly identify that person, that something's wrong with that person.
Yeah.
And it's very hard for them to live in human society because of the way they look. It's like the Nektuku vampires with the Nosferatu, where they look so supernaturally beautiful. You can tell something is wrong when you see them, and it gives you this uncanny valley response that makes it impossible for the Nektuku to exist in public. And as for the insect Pooka, we'll just pick a bug. Pick any bug. Any bug will work. Any bug will do. We have butterflies, we have spiders, and we have wasps, flies, termites, beetles, dragonflies, mantis, mosquitoes, fleas, ladybugs, moths, ants, and earthworms.
Yes.
Imagine that an earthworm Pooka.
It reminds me of Earthworm from James and the Giant Peach, where he's got like the glasses on. Didn't he have like a feeling cane or something like that because he was blind?
Yeah, it was. Oh my god, I couldn't. Peach, I'm glad you were able to enjoy it.
I mean, I vaguely it is very rare that I see a claymated movie that I actually like. I hate claymation with a passion. But James and the Giant Peach was actually like kind of neat. Like, I love the scene where Timothy goes onto the ghost ship to find the treasure and they fight the ghost skeletons. That was cool.
And they go up and they find the giant rhino and he says, "I'm not afraid of you." It's definitely a serious scene. It's not silly at all.
Yes, it's crazy.
And, well, as the types of Pooka, now we get into something a little bit more crazy. Pooka society.
Yes. Tell us about society.
Now, the issue with the Pooka is that they fall into groupthink very quickly. One Pooka will take the lead and will become the big Pooka, the alpha. And then all the other ones will just fall and get in line and not really question the other Pooka.
That's kind of given the Pooka's affinity for asking questions.
Well, at the same time, look at their history where they had a lion become the king of beasts for getting the heart.
Yes.
So you got one Pooka who's going to become head Pooka, and you've got all the other ones who will just do what the big Pooka says. It's not so much like the Bajo, like it is with what I'm thinking of, Clan Ravnos.
Yeah.
But yeah, once what the alpha says goes, you follow what that man says. And thing is, though, the Pooka as a leader, they tend to stay leader for a very long time because they are very, very, very smart.
Yeah.
I mean, the Pooka typically don't make mistakes. These guys are trickster geniuses. They're what the Nuisha wish they were. The Nuisha are fucking stupid, but now the Pooka know what they're doing.
Yes, the scrunkly shifters are kind of fucking dumb. But these guys, they got big brain.
And it kind of mirrors the social structure of the werewolves, when you think about it.
Yeah, a little bit.
We're going to have one animal lead us all. And with the werewolves, it's always a wolf because, heaven forbid, a Shadow Lord will ever take anything Simba says seriously.
Yes. Were this almost killed? We talked about that in the Naga episode.
That was the Jabba who almost died.
Right.
It was the Simba who were doing the killing.
Gotcha.
Right. As for, I'm going to look at another tab. And now you have the archetypes when it comes to Pooka. You have the traveler, who will, guess what he does? He travels. So everybody needs to be there. He's gone when his time is done. He's gone around, going to the mountains in the summer, going to the beaches in the winter. He wants to stay in a comfortable environment. And, well, this is, he's very similar to the Ish when it comes to his archetype. So imagine the wandering trickster who meet once, you get bamboozled by him, and then you never forget the experience after it happens.
Basically.
It's, I kind of like this archetype because you can see this playing into like a lot of different myths.
Oh, yeah. He teaches a lesson you won't soon forget.
I was reading this and I ended up having like a flashback. I don't remember what the book was called. And it was a story about all these different cats that owned the dojo, and a rat took over the dojo by force. And the shogun is trying to hire all these different samurai to take the dojo back. Now the samurai can do it. Instead, he hires this old samurai who just goes over to the dojo and sleeps on the floor. And the rat says, "Ah, he's not fighting me." Right? And he just continues to do whatever he wants until he ends up making a mistake while playing with a rice ball. And he gets covered in his own rice ball. And then the old samurai jumps on top of him and almost kills him and chases away the rat. That's what these Pooka are like.
Yeah, very intelligent.
You're going to greatly underestimate these guys, but the minute you screw up, these guys are going to kick your ass.
Like we said, the Pooka don't make mistakes. They might get killed a lot by the fucking she, but they aren't dumb.
That's also something to bring up, is that when it comes to fights with the Pooka, they are geniuses. If they are given time to set up a plan, they will always manage to plan a perfect trap on you. But if they're fighting somebody that's nothing but pure brute strength, constantly pursuing them and doesn't give them time to set up a trap, they'll lose. Like, compared to something else today, I know I'm trying to get you to 40K the best I can.
Try.
Your favorite character from 40K was in an audio drama I was listening to, Korn, the champion of Korn.
Yes.
Where it was the Trials of Azrael, where when Azrael was having a one-on-one fight with Karn, there was no way he was about to win. He got one of his arms cut to the point where he couldn't use it, and one of his legs almost got the major artery cut. And he had to escape Karn by falling through the floor, and then outrunning Karn. And after escaping Karn, he ends up setting up a trap for Karn that delays him long enough for him to escape. That's how Pooka would fight.
Yeah. Very smart. Not very good in like 1v1 combat, but they can outsmart. They're real Bugs Bunny types. Although I do remember, speaking of Karn, I do remember the green text where it's like a picture of Karn, and it was like God of Chaos, Korn, his biggest follower is named Karn. Who writes this shit?
It's the same reason why they called him Scarbrand. He was branded with a scar that lasts forever. I know what to call this guy.
Yes, it's like Grima Wormtongue in Lord of the Rings. I must say, I need a name for this fellow who's not to be trusted. Yes, Grima Wormtongue, splendid. Thank you, Tolkien.
Then you have the Watcher. This is the guy who watches everything and keeps a record about everything that happens. Typically, he'll want to take pictures, or he'll paint, or he'll make little sculptures or tapestries about what he's seeing. And what he sees, he'll turn into a story and then pass it on to other people. He doesn't interact with the people who are making the mistakes. He repeats those mistakes to other people and says, "Oh, to avoid, like this schmuckhead here, do this, this, and this, and you'll avoid his fate."
That's actually really neat. Like, he's purpose, like the Pooka don't make mistakes, but he's doing the mistake on purpose to show other people what not to do.
Yeah, after all, he needs to let you fail in order for you to learn not to do that again.
Exactly.
I mean, we have the issue today with like the bulldozer moms who want to solve all their baby's problems for them, and then the baby never learns. And the baby says, "Mom, can you go to my employer and tell him I quit my job?"
Did that actually happen?
That's a common thing now.
Good Lord. Like, yeah,
Oh my God.
leaving a job isn't easy, but fuck's sake.
I get my mommy to do my things for me. Not the girl.
Kinda, yeah.
Next up is the empathy and ear tugger, who is the Pooka who sees a bad man doing a bad thing, and will go over to them and say, "What you're doing is bad. You stop being a bad person all the time," and will keep appealing to that person's sense of morality until eventually they realize what they're doing and stop.
Yeah, it's like the cricket that sat on Jack Horner's shoulder in Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. You're not
I told you
gonna
to
shoot a puppy, are you, Jack? Yeah, in the face.
Why? Yeah, in the face. Yeah, why?
I love Jack Horner so much.
I told you Pinocchio is one of my favorite stories this period.
Yes.
So, Actually, all of those are changing the Dream and Chronicle right there.
Yeah.
And next up, the art of lying. Now people have tell a lie. Have a dialogue between a she lord and a Pooka. How good did you steal my cloak? Oh, my lord. So you did steal my cloak. Yes, my lord. Well, which is it? That's how you do it. Gotta be very careful with your speech. Gotta be very careful when knowing how to lie. After all, you gotta keep them guessing. If you make it obvious that you're lying, you're not gonna get anywhere with it. You gotta change it up so the Pooka have this entire Pooka-ease language based on the art of lying to people. And this is how you do it. You have many things like stalling. Pooka, did you steal my cloak? Oh, my lord, it happened like this. When I was just a little cub, I had a friend who used to love picking on me. His name was Boo. Boo had an inferiority complex that caused him to bully anyone he thought was weaker. So he thought he could just know that he was tough. So did I mention Boo was a rat cap? Right, okay, get to the point. Okay, so I'm getting there. But anyway, one day, Boo and I were playing in the backyard of my place. So anyway, me and Boo, we decided to climb a tree that we could find baby birds. Just answer my question. Did you steal the cloak? Lord, you have a visitor. I'll be right there. I'll finish the story later, my lord. It's a really good one.
What? They're just Bugs Bunny. They're all just Bugs Bunny.
They play tricks. They dress in drag. They kiss you, and win every time.
Yes, like Bugs Bunny. Hey, Wayne.
Next up.
You ever find Bugs Bunny attractive when he dresses up like a girl bunny?
Making you question your sexuality since the 40s. You think that's how the furry fandom started, is because of Bugs Bunny dressed like that?
It was either that or, I don't know. I know there was like a lot of Japanese manga artists who drew a lot of like scantily clad animal women.
Mine was directly inspired by Scrooge McDuck. That's how it started. Like, the reason why Osamu Tezuka started making Kimba the White Lion is because he watched Scrooge McDuck cartoons, and he started making that. And then he had like an entire like private collection of like furry porn that he made for himself.
That's funny as shit. It reminds me of
the White Lion.
I had something and I lost it. Never mind. I'll think of it later.
Except you have the like spittles. Pooka, did you steal my cloak? My lord, you know that I respect you. How could I ever do anything so low to a person of your grace, wisdom, and ability? Okay, I didn't think you did. I just want to make sure. Thank you. You're welcome, my lord. Leave the bullshit flying around here sometimes.
I love these guys more and more.
Next up, Idling. Pooka, did you steal my cloak? My lord, I take personal offense that you would accuse me of such a thing. I'm not accusing you, per se. I am innocent until proven guilty. I will, of course, make myself available for interrogation and torture when you decide to pursue a more formal investigation. Perfect, right?
Oh my goodness gracious.
After all, it's like the mafia. Don't ever admit to anything. Get them to prove that you did it.
Yeah, it's the Tony Soprano doublespeak.
Next up, Candles. Pooka, did you steal my cloak? Hey, Lord, did you say whether you were referring to the cloak that Lady Sorella made for you with her loving hands? Yes, that one. Did you steal it? I wonder, my lord, did you ever get that satyr bruise stain out of it? You know about that? You may go, Pooka. What happened that afternoon, it's over, it's done. Do you understand?
Oh my god, this is the best. This is funny as shit.
Next stop, Heads and Tails. Just like everyone else, Pooka have a conversations which don't involve direct questions. Most Pooka tend to be relatively taciturn. Not all of them can keep their mouths shut for too long. This varies depending on the Pooka's animal affinity. Talkative animals do exist, and sometimes some kits are just a little bit better at others keeping stories. Another one is also try to like spin off into a fairy tale in case you get captured. If all else fails, just start rambling. just start like saying whatever the hell comes to your mind, and the person questioning you will say, "What the fuck is he talking about?"
That works.
We'll completely lose track of it. I posted his a link to him. I legit do love this channel, like Terrar A. DeGuelo. I showed you him. You're not a fan of ASMR.
No, not really.
And there's a part in his videos where it's the part where you start wondering, like, what the fuck are you talking about? And it, I would start cracking up when those parts of the video start coming around, but I really do like his content.
Yep.
And you want to start doing that, where you want to start saying, you understand when we were fighting Imperial Japan, how the Japanese were fighting? There were 3 reasons why we dropped the atom bomb, and you completely derailed the conversation after that.
Good Lord.
And there's another reason to lie. Occasionally, you might lie to defend somebody. You do this by playing the devil's advocate. You start coming to the defense of somebody, and you just start coming up with points that you yourself don't believe in, but you're saying this stuff out loud to stall them. So your friend can make a swift getaway from whatever dangerous situation they're in.
Comes some common misdirection.
And next step is what did I send you? How do changelings these Pooka fight?
They've got a couple of ways they go about fighting, which I'll go over.
Animal form.
Yes. So, shape-shifting. One of the claim to fame of the Pooka. Where is it? There we are.
Yep.
So, shape-shifting. Pooka innately know how to shape-shift in the aftermath of Chrysalis. But there are some other aspects of it that you need to learn on your own. Like, nothing on a Pooka's person will change with them. So no clothings or wallets or phones or anything like that will stay on you when you shapeshift. Even treasures that are specifically anything non-chimerical will not join your shifted form. This explains, as the book says, a Pooka's unwillingness to burden himself with things. Because if you shift, then you lose all of your stuff. So then once you... the storyteller should have the discretion when determining an animal's stealth score. Tiny animals have as much as 10 dots in stealth, where an elephant will have none. The Pooka's talents will more than likely change in their animal form, with the exception of empathy, kenning, persuasion, and streetwise. Those 4 remain constant, but the Pooka may have a difficult time persuading somebody they can't talk to. As for direct combat, there are 2 ways they go about it. First is cantrips. Pooka can cast cantrips as usual when in the main of their animal affinity. Their bunks, however, have a completely different flavor. Rather than reciting poetry, Pooka can chase their tail around or do a little dance. Whatever the bunk, the storyteller needs to determine what level it is and whether or not it works for the situation. Pooka spend glamour as normal and acquire banality just as easily. And then, on the more blunt side of things, animal attacks. Animals have a number of ways that they can harm another creature. They can bite, claw, sting, butt, trample, kick, squeeze, and crush things. All of these are pretty standard non-chimerical damage. The success is determined by Dex and Brawl at difficulty 6. The damage resulting from the attack is by rolling the animal's main strength, which is difficulty 6, and then subtract any successes the victim gets on a stamina roll at that same difficulty. And this does as per the standard hand-to-hand combat rules. Some animals can introduce venom into their victims, but not all venomous creatures can actually kill with a bite. Like some bees and certain spiders can only cause a single wound unless the victim is allergic. Others can cause some serious illnesses and possibly death. They got a way that they can hold their own in a fight if need be.
Always a good thing to have.
Yes.
What else do you have? Well, how do you become a Pooka in the first place? What is the chrysalis?
Yes, a chrysalis. I'm going to roll at that same difficulty. And this does as per the standard hand-to-hand combat rules. Some animals can introduce venom into their victims, but not all venomous creatures can actually kill with a bite. Like some bees and certain spiders can only cause a single wound unless the victim is allergic. Others can cause some serious illnesses and possibly death. They got a way that they can hold their own in a fight if need be.
Always a good thing to have.
Yes.
What else do you have? Well, how do you become a Pooka in the first place? What is the chrysalis?
Yes, a chrysalis. It starts with a rebirth. So Pooka reincarnate in their human bodies naturally. They spend the first half of their lives as regular human children, with the fairy soul sleeping in the child's subconscious, and they resemble all of their commoner kith in that regard. So from that, Pooka never really escaped the influence as animal affinities. They show certain personality quirks which resemble certain nature, which resembles the natures of their animals, and some end up with with suitable nicknames as well. The sleeping fairy soul works its magic upon the growing mortal vessel, and the human body begins to acquire features that directly appropriate the animal. None are very obviously inhuman, like a deer Pooka will have large brown eyes, a snake will end up with a really thin and tall frame, elephants may be very rotund, the hair, eyes, body type, and personality can also directly reflect the affinity, leading to chrysalis. The chrysalis is the change. What changes a mortal human into a Pooka changeling. So typically this occurs sometime in their early teens, near the onset of puberty, and some may not emerge from the cocoon until adulthood. Typically, a experience of great emotional magnitude is the primary catalyst for triggering a change. Every chrysalis is unique in both the reaction and the circumstance of it occurring. However, Pooka face a particularly interesting chrysalis because they usually learn immediately that they can shift into their animal form. Sometimes it'll occur when the child instinctually retreats into the animal guise in order to escape danger or emotional trauma, although it is possible that it doesn't automatically trigger the chrysalis. Some can shift to avoid some being hurt, and then just completely black out so they don't remember it happening. It's rare, but it only happens once or twice before the fairy soul asserts itself and the real chrysalis occurs. However, that puts the child at great risk. Though their subconscious won't allow her to shift in front of onlookers, since they begin to roam in the animal guise, they do so without the caution that their mentor can teach once they enter fosterage. And they, for that reason, will run purely on instinct at times. They can roam very far from home and wake up very lost and confused. So childling Pooka are extremely vulnerable. Though some get lucky and manage to find a mentor prior to their change. Some will go out of their way to force childling to chrysalis before their time to make sure it occurs in a controlled way. And they do this by enchanting the child with an influx of glamour. But this does not always work. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But once they do, then they can successfully shapeshift and use their animal forms and glamour cantrips how they please.
And when you say in childlings, I don't know, part of me wants to rant for a minute about the creepiest Chronicles of Darkness book ever made.
What is that?
So Chronicles of Darkness decided that they wanted to make a book called Innocence, which detailed about playing a child character in Chronicles of Darkness.
Oh yeah, I remember you talking about that.
And that just wicked me the fuck out.
Yeah, it's kind of fucked.
Like the Deva clan. I don't want to think about a kid being a part of that vampire clan in particular.
Yeah, it sounds fucking terrible.
I mean, like a kid Nosferatu adventure, that'd be funny. But the Deva, no, I don't want to see that.
Yeah, that we don't need none of that.
It's weird too, because I like Chronicles of Darkness. Well, it's got two obsessions. It's that, first of all, it's just obsessed with Stranger Things. In post Stranger Things, that seems to be the one and only thing Comics Path and Paradox can talk about. I mean, we made a game called Kids on Bike. It's about Stranger Things. We made a book called Deviant the Renegade. It's about Stranger Things. We made World 5th Edition. It's about Stranger Things. It's just you have a one-track mind. You can't stop fucking talking about Stranger Things.
This is why I didn't watch it.
But Also, on top of that, I told you about Deviant the Renegades. I thought that book was interesting until like I saw a comment by one of the developers saying that that game was about child trafficking,
Yeah.
and I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And that just put me off the game.
That's some fucking Setite behavior right there.
Like what? Like why were you thinking this when it came to a game about making mutants and psychics?
I don't know. It's messed up, though.
If you thought you were making Cyber Freedom, you weren't.
No. No. In fact, you made something infinitely worse. Good.
But also, making a kid changeling. Keep in mind, that segment we're about to talk about does not involve the childlings.
Yes. So, time to age restrict this video, because we're talking about...
Like, well, I was going to say something about the childlings first.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say, think of like any sort of myth that involves a kid character. I'm thinking maybe just because I've been really like Japanese mythology, Kintoki Doji, where that's a story about like essentially Japanese Hercules, who the big scene of that book is that he's in a competition with all these other animals where they want to play sumo in the woods, and of course the bear, being the bear, just sweeps the floor with everybody, and then Kintoki comes in and just immediately wipes the floor with the bear by pulling off a technique that none of the other animals had seen before. And that's the kind of stories you're doing with your Pooka childling.
Yes.
Where, yeah, you can technically play as a kid in Changing the Dreaming, because Changing the Dreaming is supposed to be a comparatively nicer game, comparison to the other World of Darkness game.
Yeah, Changeling the Dreaming is meant to be more uplifting.
Yeah, you'll have Ventru who need to eat kids in order to stay alive. You have werewolves who will conscript child soldiers to fight. You'll have Tenocracy kidnapping kids to make them into Men in Black soldiers for the Tenocracy. You don't have that kind of grim darkness happening with the Changelings. Granted, this game still has darkness in it, but it's not nearly as dark as the rest of the World of Darkness.
Yes.
Think of me like, I would say like Fairly Odd Parents is a perfect example to use for your changing the...
Yeah, it's...
unironically.
What?
Unironically, that's a fantastic example, because that's your typical like plot formula too, where you have somebody in misery, suffering from banality, then you, the fairies, come in and help that person get out of the bad situation.
Yeah. Like, I was debating if, when we do eventually get around to playing Changeling, whether I wanted to be a Boggin or an Ishu. Because, like, I had a great idea for an Ishu character. And because Ishu are, like, the consummate storytellers, they help a child learn what they can accomplish with their talents and with their skills by using the games they play as a way to tell a story. And I really loved the idea as a character.
So you can tell some games with Changing the Dreaming that you just can't tell with any other game, and this is why I always say that Changing the Dreaming is better, but miles better than Changing the Lost. Because Changing the Lost wants to be obsessed with its own misery. Changing the Dreaming is just a good time.
Yeah,
you can just have a good time playing this.
Like when we did the bit about the Red Talon finding a Boggin making cookies in a tree.
Yeah.
Hello, would you like a cookie? My name is Elma. I make the cookies.
I don't know why the Red Talons don't like the Boggins. They're such pleasant little guys.
If it looks like a human, it dies.
But they make cookies.
I'm gonna make a treat for the doggy, and he will be my friend.
Now this isn't saying that Changing the Dreaming is just going to be sugar and unicorns and rainbows. Now, if you want to go for the more adult variety, there's something in it for you in this book.
Yes, there is. Like I said, get ready to age restrict this video. To quote Chainsaw Man, final sex. I love that song.
You have that scene where Inji is hanging from the legs of Asa. She's flying through the air. Hey, what do you want, Chainsaw Man? Sex. I want to have sex.
Okay, there's a couple of really great quotes that preface all of the little subtopics of Pooka relationships. For example, C.C. Colton here, love is an alliance of friendship and animalism. If the former predominates, it is passion, exalted and refined. If the latter, gross and sensual. And then there's also Woody Allen. Love is the answer, but while you're waiting for the answer, sex raises some pretty good questions. I particularly like that one.
I think Woody Allen's the last person you want to talk to about that.
Probably, yes. So, romance. The Pooka have a very, very broad definition of love. They do not like to limit themselves at all. As long as it's consensual and all participating parties are above the age of 18, then it is all good to go. So long as everything is done in a loving and passionate manner. Of course, STIs, as the book notes, invoke the same fear in changelings as they would to anybody else, but typically they manage to avoid it. And one thing that few changelings suffer is a more moralistic approach to any kind of sex. They hold that anybody who preaches a banal... I love this line of the book. They hold that anyone who preaches a banal philosophy in which sex or love is bad when it strays from the standard missionary position between altar-married spouses is full of shit. How could any kind of love be bad? So, as it says here, yes, changelings agree that sex must be consensual. The Kithian view of sex and love is intimate and sharing. Although rapists do exist among the Kithian, especially among the unseelie, most fairies understand it is a horrendous crime and condemn its action. And they doubly hate, the sexual abuse of children. That few things will destroy a child's life more than sexual abuse. And
keep in mind what he just said. He said love is love, but that does not involve fucking kids.
Yes. As it says, how could there be a more offensive crime than to turn a child into a cowering, fearful, guilt-ridden victim? Nightmares plague these children, but their nightmares do not enforce the dreaming, they enforce banality. It draws them into adulthood far before their time and encourages levels of homophobia and fear of sex, and victims have suppressed the memories of large portions of their childhood, and it's a terrible, terrible, terrible thing.
This includes having sex with your pets, having sex with wild animals, having sex with corpses, and having sex with your own shit.
Yes, we'll get into how they feel about the deviancy of it later. But as far as it goes, some of their animal affinities will reflect in their romantic habits. They will, as the book says, this does not mean that Pooka strut around the bedroom in a figure-8 pattern, flapping their arms and making throaty noises. Though, if that's what turns them on, why not? Pooka will approach love and sex with very definite patterns and rituals that they find sanctified to them. But the one thing that distinguishes humans from animals is that humanity is one of the few species that will have sex for pleasure. Animals only do it for procreation. The sex drive is a function of evolution, which, is continuation of the species. Although some people say that it's an uncommon theory that animal sex is a function of physical urges alone, whereas humans and fairy, sex drive results from emotional or mental needs. As that link between animal and human form, Pooka will experience periods of heat in which physical urges become incredibly strong and impossible to ignore. They have a tendency to temporarily fall deeply in love with whatever they look at, but there is no guarantee that that'll remain in the aftermath of it. Going on, we have seduction. Seduction, there's a number of ways that they go about it because the Pooka are a very varied group of fairies. They're either very graceful about it, very assertive, and, they're very much proponents of what the book refers to as animal sex. And it didn't acquire the connotations because animal sex is boring or lackluster. While they may dictate, a shy approach to seduction, sometimes that shyness is an act in of itself. Remember, this is the Pooka we are talking about. And some Pooka, see it more as like a game or a battle. They attempt to impose their dominance or impose their dominance to seduce. Sometimes are very assertive and outright aggressive, but it doesn't always go out that way. It's more, and some people prefer it to a more direct expression of desire. The As for like honest romance, Pookas stalk their prospective mates while others woo them with gentle words and caressing touches. But some of the most famous lovers in the world were Pooka. The She and Satyrs don't have exclusive rights to poetry and roses. Pooka have very soft, vulnerable hearts when it comes to romance. Their propensity for exaggeration makes them some of the most demonstrative lovers amongst changelings. They have very extravagant gestures. They do billboards, graffiti, they have roaming violence they hire to interrupt board meetings, kissograms, stripograms, gigantic bouquets of flowers. They love showing, physical, or not just physical, but like expressive forms of affection. It's very sweet. As for commitment itself, typically animals mate for life, but Pooka don't really have a whole lot of luck in that department. Granted, many Pooka don't really want commitment. As with any human or changeling, individual personalities and challenges will dictate the outcome of the relationship, but many Pooka will have a proclivity to settle down and want to raise children. They want to try and build a cozy little house for themselves where they're safe and warm and they can, or they'll have a partner who wants to stand beside them and support them whatever they do. As the book says, despite what some of the more cavalier changelings proclaim, this lifestyle is not banal. Just ask the Boggins. As for gender roles, the Pooka don't like to limit themselves, is what the traditional gender roles may entail. They believe that, some animal kingdom, they say the male takes the dominant role, female will take the submissive role, but that's not always true in the animal kingdom. And the Pooka reflect this as they grow, to maturity in a moral society and have more complicated brain functions than animals, and they can overcome just the standard urges of chauvinism in order to be more fluid in what they can do. As for
after all, you look at like rats in nature, and if a rat can't find a woman to mate with, they'll try mating with a male. Yeah. And that's part of the sex drive, is that if I can't have a woman, we're going to have each other. And I know like a whole lot of people want to say like, it's natural for blah blah blah. Like you try to justify your own bullshit for it. This isn't a homophobia because, Luke is talking, but that it's not so much like sexuality. It's more like a survival tactic, is what it is.
Yeah,
and need to express it somehow. That's what it's ultimately.
Well, yeah, you think about it, it's like if you're so distracted by that sort of animalistic pleasure, if you get it out of your system, then you're more ready to focus on other aspects of survival. It's just getting it out of the system in order to be able to continue on. Although, given the human side of Pooka, they're going to do both. They're going to either, do it to get it out of their system, or they're going to actually try and seek a mate. As for deviance, of course, there's some dark desires that lurk in the hearts of some unseelie Pooka. Some get into BDSM, sadomasochism, other practices which most society would consider offensive. But they provide the clearest support for the argument that not all the Pooka are the sunny fuzzballs who laugh and prank. The urge to bite and claw, the desire to take without asking are darker still. The taste for blood drives these Pooka into shadowy sexual situations. However, this doesn't preclude consent. Since a lot of Pooka want to be dominated, they enjoy the submission, they get off on it. Other changelings typically don't judge these practices so long as everyone is in agreement. They may look the other way, never fully understanding the motivations or be turned off, but to each his own. It originated with the Fae. As for homosexuality with the Pooka, as we just said, even the animal kingdom has its occurrences of homosexuality, and some animals are completely androgynous, like the seahorse is the common example of that. This does not come into play when determining whether or not homosexual Pooka exists. They absolutely exist, but what makes a person gay could go on for a while. But Pooka don't care why, because they're themselves. They have very few taboos related to sex and romance, and they even embrace them all without prejudice. All are all homosexuality, heterosexuality, bisexuality, equally viable options for the Pooka. The changelings abhor any kind of restriction to love. They're, people are people, love is love, again, so long as all parties are in agreement. There's no reason man can't love another man, woman can't love another woman, etc., etc. To limit how much or in what way somebody can love somebody promotes banality. And of course, banality is the enemy of all changelings.
Yeah. Or transcend traditions or trying to dictate laws. If we know how we feel, then what exactly do we need a structure based around it? That's what they're saying. I mean, just let us do what we want to do, and we both consent, and just let it be that.
Yes, as long as nobody's getting hurt, then it's all good.
I'll put up that shirt and just post it in history pages.
Shirt?
The shirt.
History page. Oh. Homosexual. If it's not sus, he is the homie.
When you gotta do the homie, you gotta do them right.
Good Lord. I like this shirt almost as much as I like the please do not snort ketamine off the koala care changing station.
That's the fan part of everybody's favorite segment, the relationship.
Yes, and we got a lot to talk about. So, starting us off, who cares? All of us. So, the Pooka judge their fellow fairies in terms of courage, leadership, loyalty, and their nearness to animals more than anything. And they tend to test other changelings, and it directs itself more readily towards the kith that annoy them or bother them. Opinions will largely vary between affinities. One Pooka may appreciate and others will scorn, and there's broad generalizations about Pooka opinions that are about as valid as saying that tigers ride tricycles. Just ain't so. I love this fucking book. Starting us off at the top, we have the Boggans. The Seelie Pooka really like the Boggans because they're drawn to their altruism. They themselves, as we said in the Lion story, will go out of their way to help strangers. Although there are the animalistic kith recognize the Boggans' acceptance of them as well. Sometimes a Boggin will, unkindly treat a Pooka just because of his kith, but that's very rare in instances. Though the Boggans have built a relationship for their love of animals with the Pooka, and has endeared them very greatly to them. They like the funny elf people.
They're like the good old man who lives in a tree.
Yeah.
They keep their elves.
As for the Unseelie Pooka, they have a lot of uses for the Boggans, but their opinions will differ. So long as the Boggin doesn't piss them off, they'll be just blissfully ignored. Some view the Boggans as weak. Despite this, the Unseelie Pooka respect the Boggins' loyalty to the Changeling and often rely on them to do the jobs for them. They take advantage of the Boggin kindness, but also respect their talents and sense of self-worth. To the Unseelie Pooka, self-pride is a strength, especially when justified.
I like that about the kith books here, where it has the difference between the Unseelie and perspective on it, where not every book has that. I remember Kith book, Redcap, and Slua tend to only portray the Unseelie side. That's because like 90% of Redcaps and Slua are Unseelie.
Yeah, and I still like my mate Danica some.
Because with the Pooka, in this case, it's 50-50 between the two.
Yes. Next, we have the Ishu. Isha and Pooka, both Seelie and Unseelie, have a lot in common. On the surface, they are somewhat competitive since they're both kind of tricksters, but they all do it in good fun. They share a millennia-long bond. When Pooka first began to travel around the world to enlighten mortals of the sanctity of nature, many of them took Ishu companions because not only are they great at migrating with them, Pooka loves stories, and the Ishu are some of the best storytellers in the Changelings. Although the Pooka tend to embellish their stories more beyond belief, but if you get an Ishu and a Pooka in the same room, they will spend hours trying to outdo each other's stories. Ishu will listen intently to the Pooka stories because they like to try and pick out the truth inside of it, And the curiosity and love of challenge draws them to the Pooka. Both of them adore the attention, the Seelie and Unseelie.
Where, of course, as we've established, these make for pretty good people around.
Yes.
Where it's your childhood friend who's like your neighbor, who's around for a short amount of time, helps you get into something you really like, and then leaves your life forever. But by that point, you've said your goodbyes, you know they're leaving, and you have a good experience. And you're like the Mr. Bergstrom from Simpson.
Yeah, and then one day he comes back from college with a bunch more stories and a case of beer, and then you talk like nothing ever changed.
It's the guy who's there when you need them, and the issue are that we're already. I mean, just about every issue is. The Pooka are also Watchers and Wanderers too. So, in your issue games, if you have an issue, more than likely the Pooka in your party already knows who the is.
Yes, and you'll have a very, very talkative session. Okay, the Knockers. Knockers and Pooka typically do not get along. The Pooka annoy the shit out of the Knockers, and the Knockers don't like the Pooka's propensity for mistruth as an imperfection. Pooka don't like when the Knockers, ridicule them, and they're very sensitive to this attack, so Pooka will probably take it very personally and then start to fight them. And then the Knockers, as we spoke of, also love building stuff. They love machines. The Pooka hate that because the Pooka believe that the creations of the Knockers mirror the worst of man's creations. They see it as a perversion of nature, and despite the efforts of the Knockers to create more ecologically sound inventions, the Pooka are always suspicious of them. Seelie Pooka.
I always feel that
What's up?
that's a bad rap that the Knockers get, because they make toys on top of that too.
Yeah.
It's not just weapons, it's not just cars. That the Knockers are like, I always see them as like clown Santa Claus when it comes to the Knockers, because they make such little fun stuff, and they're the STEM teacher that's actually good at what he does. And I did STEM. I was in high school, and I swear, when I left the program and ended up going to normal school in senior year, I learned more doing senior year stuff than I ever did in STEM. Hopefully the program's better today than it was when I was going there. But it's the one STEM teacher that really teaches you something that you have, that's a skill that you keep for the rest of your life, that you can apply within your day-to-day life.
Yep. It's always good when you get a teacher like that, and that's what a good Knocker should be, is a teacher like that. Seelie Pooka will tend to avoid Knockers whenever possible, and the Seelie will always try to sabotage them. Moving on from them, we have Satyrs. The Seelie really want to like the Satyrs. They just like the fact that they're half animal, just like them. They will try to go out of their way to befriend the Satyrs, but the Satyrs don't like the Pooka. They don't have as much patience for them, except the smarter ones who recognize that, Pooka will always have an air of, like, a speck of truth within every lie they tell. They find the language Pooka-ese annoying, and the Pooka know that. And for that, they kind of resent the Satyrs. The Pooka, really desperately want to be friends with the Satyrs, and they feel kind of rejected by them when they get turned down. But then the Pooka will try and prank them to show them that they're, all about fun and making people laugh. And it's sort of built into this odd love-hate relationship because, if the two could ever, sit down and actually talk, they would be unstoppable. Although even the Unseelie Pooka feel the attraction of the Satyrs, but the tension grows even faster between the Unseelie. They look at...
When you look at the Satyrs, like pausing you with the Unseelie, it's because the Satyrs always want to get to the point. That when you look at the kids with Satyrs, they're very direct people. They're going to tell you what's on their mind straight up. I mean, you remember Phil from Hercules, the Disney Hercules?
Yes.
That's perfect. That is exactly what a Satyr does.
Yeah. I'm a 95 kid. Concentrate.
Nymphs, they just can't keep their hands off me. It's in that, as I told you, satyrs will typically carry aphrodisia with them as a cantrip, and well, you get one guess as to what that does, and
Funky
you compare that with
Dina.
you compare that with the Pooka, who've got to dance around everything, and I've got to stretch things out with lying and playing devil's advocate, and it just gets on the satyr's nerves.
Yeah, so the Unseelie also what's up? Oh, just like
That's it. That's it.
okay. Even the Unseelie feel attracted to satyrs, but like I said, the tension grows even faster if the Pooka is Unseelie. They respect and look up to the satyrs' pursuit of their passions, and they want to emulate the liberated changelings almost to a point of hero worship, but then they come down hard on them when they fail to live up to the lofty expectations they set. The Unseelie frequently expect unusual sexual favors from satyrs, equating their passion with perversity, and sometimes taking what they want by force if they aren't willing. Little fucked up, but they are the Unseelie.
Well, given what you guys do with the Black Furies, I think that reputation is your own fault.
A little bit, but, you know, werewolves. Anyway,
we need the sperm daddy. We hate men, and we don't want a father in our lives.
Yeah. Red caps. The Seelie fucking hate the red caps. The red caps show absolutely no respect for anything, especially creatures of the natural world. They will occasionally give a Seelie red cap a chance, but they have very deep prejudices against them, and they are extremely difficult to trust. But this has nothing to do with the fact that the red caps make a sport on picking on and sometimes even torturing Pooka. Only in the rarest of instances will a Pooka go anywhere near a red cap unless they're with somebody else. The Pooka and the red caps are gasoline and flame. It's usually the Pooka that doesn't walk away. So as the book notes, this puts red caps at the top of the list for any Samhain pranks. Among the Unseelie Pooka, they're very close to how they feel about the Seelie Pooka, though many of them have learned to deal with the red caps in their ways. They don't. What are you laughing about?
We want to all joking about it.
Okay. Although they don't get a whole lot of respect from the red caps, the Unseelie can scrap with the best of them. They don't take any shit from the red caps. And they learned that the retribution for a wrong needs to come immediately and with greater force. The red caps learn their goddamn lesson. As the book notes, red caps have learned that it doesn't pay to mess with an Unseelie Pooka, especially not when the Pooka's got a pack backing him up and carrying a big flamethrower.
And it's there's a local radio show that has a shtick every once in a while called Lipless, which is a guy that's in this case a red cap, who's hard to understand, where he tries to tell jokes, but he takes too long to tell the joke.
Yep.
But it's like that, it's that in the Pooka where red caps got lie and another in Afghanistan. I want to know Walmart's in Afghanistan, and because there's a target on every street. And then the cap gets pissed at the Pooka for taking this joke.
Yep. I also like the note about the flamethrower. Where the fuck did a Pooka get a flamethrower? They
that
the knockers.
Yeah. I'm glad to get it from the knocker just to deal with the red cap the one time.
Probably, yes.
And the funny thing is, with the red caps, you know exactly what they're talking about because one beat Tyler over the head with a hockey stick.
Yeah, they're kind of dicks, but then again, one of my best mates is a red cap. The fuck is Danny? I gotta go find him.
You went to the wrong house.
I thought you said that was his house in the previous episode.
That said man.
God damn it. I was looking at the wrong house. Tyler probably just forgot because he was excited now. That was still great though, Lauren. It's like, you didn't want to go in that house. I know exactly whose house this is. Click, crack.
Bam, Mr. Penalty Shot's beating you over the head with this hockey stick.
Yep, he's going to wake up. Danny's going to be standing over him like, you got knocked the fuck out, man.
Where's the wrong house again?
I'm sorry you spent so much time at my house. I forgot where your house was.
I keep forgetting my address.
'Cause furries don't have an address. That's why I was sad that Danny didn't show up Danny wasn't in a lot of the game, because I fucking love the relationship. Danny is just such a dick to Tyler, but Tyler's
a laugh factory, don't worry.
Yeah, I know, I'm excited. The she. Many Seelie Pooka will covet the favor of the nobility. Few she actually earn their respect. The she are dedicated to civilized behavior, and courtly manners often supersedes anything else, including the fair treatment of the animals and their commoner followers. The opinion on the she varies more than any other kith. Typically, they judge them on their leadership qualities, the fairness, their wisdom. They have very high standards to live up to in order to earn the Pooka's respect. In their traditional role as leaders, their every action falls under direct scrutiny. And this applies to the Unseelie Pooka as well, but they tend to judge both Seelie and Unseelie much more harshly. Slightest mistake could tarnish a she's reputation with these Pooka for a very long time. All Pooka have found it incredibly difficult to forget and forgive the Night of Iron Knives, because it very closely emulated the massacre of their species by the their species of animals by the humans they can't let go of. They're very paranoid when in the company of noble fae, and they will find it extremely difficult to ever trust a she, especially those who fall back on their rights and privileges as the obvious rulers of all fae, yes.
Like these guys have something in common with the red caps.
Yes. The Slua.
My favorite.
The Pooka don't know what the hell to make of the Slua, because they didn't think they came from a forest, but they absolutely did. They don't really dislike the Slua, but they just don't have anything in common with them. Even rat Pooka don't really like them. The Pooka are about living and growing things, and the Slua just reek of decay. They don't, and even the Unseelie Pooka don't really know a place for the Slua in the cycle of birth to death. I like this part, though they acknowledge that the creepy crawlies can occasionally prove useful. Most Pooka associate with Slua, they associate the Slua with cities, and they view them as an offshoot of the urban dreams. The only affinity of Pooka that particularly gets along with the Slua are the spider Pooka. They are very arranged, and they're very rare and strange Pooka, and the two will often, come to be friends with each other. The Slua have a bit of an affection for arachnids, but no one really understands why. Perhaps it's just the Slua's special kindness to them. Perhaps it's related to some ancient event. But, they will occasionally find one another. Where there's a spider Pooka, there's going to be a Slua close with them.
Maybe it's just because the Slua like creepy stuff.
Yep.
That's it? That's the only reason?
Yep. Trolls. Only the smartest of trolls will find friends with a Pooka, which is sad because the Pooka really... The Seelie Pooka really admire and respect the trolls, and they know that the qualities that the trolls despise them are the same qualities that make the Pooka what they are. The trolls rarely see the big picture of Pooka-ese, and they don't really understand the necessity of causing people to question their status quo and instill doubt. The trolls are very stubborn when it comes to their beliefs and preconceptions, so when Pooka attempt to break apart their doctrines, the trolls take it personally. Unseelie don't really bother to seek friendship with the Seelie trolls, but they really love breaking the dogma of honor and all of their traditions. As the book says, nothing appeals more to an Unseelie Pooka than to see a troll's eyes slowly darken as he begins to question his beliefs or begin the slow descent into his Unseelie legacy. The Pooka believes he's doing the troll a favor, but the Seelie court really hate when the Unseelie provokes a loss in one of their stalwart protectors. Very, very tense, this one.
You don't mess with a troll. I mean, these guys are able to compete with the Fenris. So, you see why you want to keep these guys on your side is because these guys kick ass like no one else can.
Yep. Can't wait to see Freddy's band again.
I do have a troll character waiting around in Rip Van Winkle that you haven't met yet. I'm very excited for that.
I imagine that's going... Are we doing Warhammer this coming week, or are we going back to Werewolf?
We're doing Warhammer.
All right. Ghislaine.
Now, who are the Ghislaine, you may be asking?
They are so-called pure fairies, but they've
Definitely.
felt misunderstood by the major Arcadian kith. Historically, Pooka travels have brought them in contact with the Galliard time and time again, and their affinity with animals has given them a sort of foot in the door with many of the strange creatures and allowed them to form lasting alliances that have served them well. They have this sort of inherent kinship with the Galliard that can't really be replicated.
After all, these guys are weird looking. I mean, you remember some like the Fey category creatures in D&D,
Yeah.
along with some like the monstrosities like the Displacer Beast.
Yeah, fucking.
That's what they look like.
Yeah, they're messed up looking.
And they act as weird as they look. These are the guys that started the horror stories about the Fae, because these are the guys who say, hello, can I have your name? And my name is this. Okay, thank you. And then they just hang up the phone. And behold, you've now lost your name to the fairies.
Yep. In my Storm King's Thunder group, we left off before the holiday break where we just got into the Fae. And we've got like a 58-room dungeon to try and find the Elder Gleam. But the first order of business we dictated was that we gave ourselves code names. Like our barbarian just got the bear totem blessing from Mato. So we decided to call him Bear. I'm Wolf, obviously. My sister's character, Roken, has a Fey Owl companion so we named him Owl. We have our druid who has a staff of Python, so we named her Serpent. And then we have a Aasimar who we called Lion because he's gold. And so that's what you need to do if you're approaching the fairies. Anyway, back to it. Sorry about that. Nunehi.
Makes sense. The Native American changeling.
Yes. Unlike the other Arcadian kith, the dreams that formed and strengthened the Pooka came from the same source that created Nunehi. In many ways, they believe the two are siblings with the same mother and father. But this doesn't automatically make them best friends, but it does occasionally afford them certain rights they otherwise wouldn't be given. Nunehi will rarely bother Pooka traveling through their territory unless the Pooka has disturbed the peace. Some Nunehi actually remember the time where the Pooka stood beside them in alliance against the encroaching white man during the era of colonization. And even those that don't remember this in their tales and myths have traditions of honoring the wise fool, a la the, why am I forgetting them?
Colonization?
What?
The colonization.
Coyotes.
Oh, yeah, that Noisha.
The Noisha.
Well, I don't blame you for forgetting them.
For this reason, they typically treat Pooka with caution and this weird hands-off respect. But the Pooka has to act very responsibly and respect the Nunehi as well. Or the native fairies will believe that the Pooka is a pretender and lose respect for that particular changeling. So they sort of like... It's like that. It's like somebody you have like an unspoken rivalry with, but also deep respect. Where it's like you'll be sitting there at the table and you see him across the room, and you just kind of like give each other a little respectful nod and just go back to minding your own business. They're kind of like that.
And this also means that this is the one and only kith that the Ten are okay with.
Yes. The Pooka have witnessed firsthand the power of the Nunehi, and it instills a sort of wariness in the Pooka. They avoid troubling each other whenever possible, and they acknowledge they have a great deal in common. The Selkies. These are kind of neat. The
sexy seal women.
Yes. The Pooka have a lot of respect for the Selkies. They are completely in awe of the ocean changelings. The Pooka find mysteries that they will never understand. Many have wondered if the Selkies aren't another type of Pooka, but there's a lot of differences between them. Like seal Pooka differ greatly from the Selkies. And the most obvious incongruity is the fact that the Gies binds Pooka to their mistruths, and it doesn't bind the Selkies. So Pooka wondered about it, but it's rather unlikely. The Pooka and the Selkies both champion nature's bounty and regularly work together against common foes. Oceanic Pooka in particular enjoy a special friendship with the Selkies. They swim with them and they fight alongside them. Rarely will any Pooka ever deny their help or a request from them. The unseelie Pooka, however, find it difficult to reject them as well, though they may, bitch and moan about it. But they understand that there's, a sadness in the Selkies' eyes, and there's a lot of suffering within that kith. Selkies are
the Selkies, it feels like this could have been a changing breed because there are seal women that have like a seal skin that they peel off their legs and use that to shift back and forth between being a seal woman and being a seal. And it feels so similar to Web of the Apocalypse, because what you're doing with the Selkie, protecting the environment, helping Pentex organizations, that's werewolf. You're directly aiding the werewolf in doing that.
Yes. That's why the Fae are very close allies.
And the thing is that you could say that these guys, Selkie, spun off from Pooka, but then became so intermingled with each other that it ended up forming their own entirely different kith.
Yeah.
You could say that.
That's true. The Enaname, just as the dreams of prehistoric man put minds and hearts into animals, they also assigned life to the world at large. The Enaname were born from the same sort of dream womb that conceived the Pooka. And it was a long time ago when nature was in a balance and all creatures lived in near perfect harmony. Pooka and Enaname were equals, but as humanity turned its energy towards harvest, cultivation, and acquisition, Pooka and Enaname became targets together. It formed a very strong, deep connection between the two, however subconscious it may be. Seelie Pooka will typically view the Enaname as innocents who need to be protected, and they believe themselves as the guardians of the Enaname. The Unseelie sort of look down on them as, weaklings and incompetents, because they really haven't fought as much as the Pooka. Their disdain for Enaname, for being so tamed by human assembly.
Hold on a minute. How are you pronouncing this?
Enaname? Inanime. Why am I thinking it's like Ray Ayanami? I don't fucking know.
That Evangelion on the brain.
It's dead. I'm gonna go stand in the shower and pour orange Fanta on myself.
Don't say the sagas are doing it.
Yeah. And I'm gonna throw down a bottle of soda and I'm gonna go, "No, idiot, shit, you all to hell."
It caused a third impact.
Though they may scorn the inanime and view them as simpering doormats, they also understand they need to help them. So the Unseelie don't like having to help them, but they know it's important to. The Prodigals. Oh, shit. And it closed the tab, damn it.
Pretty much everyone else.
Yes. At any time, Changeling... Yeah, this is basically anybody that isn't a Changeling, starting off with vampires. They are dangerous and untrustworthy. Most fairies will discover them by accident because the vampires tend to keep to themselves, and Pooka rarely are able to talk to one. The warnings that have spread among changelings who know about them are all stories of betrayal, murder, and in the case of clans Amici and Tremere, scientific experimentation. Rat Pooka have to be careful to avoid certain areas, at risk for becoming a meal. They kill without mercy. Their lust for blood makes them a feared predator to the Pooka. Tales abound of vampires that become addicted to fairy blood and use the Fae victim as a drug, which eventually leaves the changeling as nothing more than a husk. The Pooka believe that vampires were created from the nightmares of mortals, thus likening them to the Naknitsa. Can I get a little background on Naknitsa?
That's a chimera, which are these nightmare monsters made from here.
Oh, neat. Okay.
So that's what you fight for the most of changing the dreaming, is that the nightmares made manifest.
Yes. So the monsters reek of banality. Some few whose shattered minds remind Pooka of the deepest depths of the dreaming hold a very dark appeal for the Fae, which makes the Pooka even more cautious when it comes to vampires. But this kind of reminds me, because Freddy's human,
Yes.
and his dad is a vampire, then what would Gurney have to say about Colt? She probably doesn't trust him.
Probably happy that the when to go have him hostage in Canada in that case. Because I know he's your dad, I know you love him, but at the same time, please keep him away from me. I'm pretty sure he's going to try to drink me if he gets the chance.
Look, goodness gracious, he goes out hunting. He's been getting better. He's doing the best he can. It's not his fault.
Then our house arrest.
Yeah, I know. Look, he was chilling up in Canada, just hunting and selling the meat to the local butchers, and then selling the skin and the bones, so it wasn't going to waste. And then he would go home, have a cigar and a cognac, and listen to his records, and then play some guitar, and then work out a little bit. He was enjoying his retirement. Damn it!
And you got recognized.
Yeah. I just wanted to take my wife to the bloody pub for a night. Good Lord. I was having such a good time. Anyway, werewolves. The Pooka and Garrow have one major thing in common. Their anger at the destruction of the world's animals and the rape of the natural environment. And they also can shapeshift into animals, so that doesn't hurt either. The Pooka believe themselves to be related to werewolves, much in the way they think they're related to the Selkies. They see the werewolf changers as fairies who have forgotten their connection to the dreaming or focus on the battle to save nature. Or they believe that rage has just overcome them and that has subjugated their wonder, their glamour, for a more primal drive. The Seelie Pooka are somewhat off-put by the methods of how werewolves deal with people. They don't really care for the violence or the disregard for bystanders who just happen to be there. But they understand that the werewolves' rage They understand the werewolves' rage at a very deep level. The Unseelie Pooka fucking love the Garrow. They love watching the terror in people's eyes right before a werewolf cuts his head off. They love it. The Woodland Pooka are typically more aware of werewolves, but city dwellers rarely will ever meet one. Even those that know the werewolves usually prefer not to approach them or reveal themselves. Instead, they would rather watch them and aid them anonymously whenever they can. So yeah, they like the Garrow, but kinda.
When we start playing Ridge Coast Appalachia, I'm pretty sure the Unseelie Garrow would absolutely love In's the Road.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah. If we happen across any Fianna that are there, which there might be. I don't know if I'm gonna put that many there.
I mean, you look at the South, and you have a pretty sizable Irish population down here.
That's true. I'm sure I'll have to look at the playing field of where I intend to have the game at and see what I can do about that.
Of course, I can always send you the book.
Yes. Where's the book supposed to take place?
It takes place in the 90s.
Well, no, not when. Where?
It takes place spanning from Georgia to Maryland and West Virginia. That's where it takes place.
Oh, I was just gonna have it in West Virginia.
Well, in that case, you really can't just take any of the characters and put them around Appalachia.
Yeah,
Ridge Coast Appalachia.
Well, I mean, I feel like it'd be a more cohesive game world if I kept it that way. But also because as someone who has a lot of family from West Virginia, I have a lot of love for West Virginia. Like, for example, a little behind the curtain of what I plan to do, you will happen across a restaurant that actually exists. It's called Woody's. They sell chili dogs and pepperoni rolls. Pepperoni rolls is a West Virginia staple. Basically, it is a top cut bun with slices of pepperoni inside, or thick, rectangular cut slices of pepperoni, and then you cover it in a chili meat sauce. Put some provolone cheese on top of it, and you toast it in the oven, and it's fucking delicious.
They make this because they can't afford the pizza dough.
I mean, maybe, but no, they had Little Caesars there, so. But yeah, that's in Morgantown, West Virginia. If we have any followers in Morgantown, West Virginia, go to Woody's, get yourself a large hot pepperoni roll and a cup of chocolate milk.
Yep.
If you want to regain some willpower, eat a pepperoni roll.
I work up some vacation days so I can go to Shadow again.
So mages. Pooka called the mages the riders because the cantrips seem to be drawn from the wild. I gotta read this description verbatim. Pooka equate mages with children who have learned how to fire a gun without completely understanding the repercussions of it. Though this fascinates them, especially when they see how banality responds to mage cantrips with such a debilitating backlash, they know mages are extremely dangerous. The rider's curiosity has no bounds, especially when they discover the fairy. The rider will go to extreme lengths to probe the nature of the changeling, and this has resulted in many of them being killed.
In terms of mages, the Cosmic Brotherhood and Euthanatos, I could not disagree with you more. In regards to the Cult of Ecstasy and Sons of Ether, I couldn't agree with you more. Both of those guys are fucking dangerous.
Yes.
I mean, there's a movie out right now, Poor Things. That is exactly what the Sons of Ether do. Just science for the sake of science.
Yep. I actually, in the book I wrote, one of the civilizations one of the worlds that our characters travel to actually caused their own destruction because of science for science's sake.
This is why funding exists, because if we just let you do whatever you want with your experiments, you'd probably destroy the world by this point.
Exactly. Moving on from that, we have wraiths. Pooka have an odd outlook towards the ghosts. Throughout their history, they've associated with people who believe strongly in the ghosts of their ancestors and in spirits who walk the earth on unfinished quests. The Pooka believe that the existence of wraiths originated in dreams and nightmares, though they know that wraiths are not chimera. They explain that these entities are lingering shadows of the people they once were, and they're given a sort of life by the nightmares of hauntings and dreams of loved ones for the return of beloved. Still, Pooka concentrate on life, not death, and don't really have much in common or much use for wraiths.
Now, they're kind of right when they talk about wraiths like that. I mean, you're not entirely wrong, because the wraith is bound to the planet because they have unfinished business or regrets. So you're wrong, but you're right at the same time. Talk about wraiths.
Yeah. Then finally, humans. Pooka love them but hate them. Like, they know that it's the dreams of humans and creativity that sustain the Pooka, but it's also humans that destroy the natural world and killers of animal kind and uncaring masses who unwillingly generate banality through blind adherence to familiarity and comfort. The Pooka tried before, as we said in history, to educate humankind, but most have failed to learn anything. Those who do accept teachings of respect for nature are more likely to become the prey of more aggressive and murderous people. In short, Pooka don't know what to think about humans or do about them. Because many fall to bedlam attempting to ignore the mortals and how they feel about hiding away in freeholds or in the dreaming itself. Still, there are always Pooka who believe that humans can be taught a better way, but they're very few and far between.